Welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having Ritchie Gregory from the Gregory Photography studio in Virginia Beach. Welcome.
Thank you.
I had a chance to go on your website and take a look at some of your stuff.
Great.
Pretty work.
Thank you.
And quite different from some of what I normally see.
Okay.
And I mean, that is a compliment, obviously. Why don't you give us, first of all, an overview of what your studio does?
Well, mainly I photograph people. I love things that move, walk, talk, cry, breathe. I just don't do inanimate objects. It's kind of fun. I love people. So I photograph whether it's newborn, maternity, babies, children, family, high school seniors, events like weddings, almost any part of the life cycle of a human being. That's important to that family or to individuals. So, yeah.
Right. And I noticed that, we had a conversation on the phone, and the one thing that even on the phone came through was that you're extremely passionate about what you do. It's very apparent. It's apparent looking at you today too. Can you tell us about your background of how you got in photography? Where does this passion come from for this? Because obviously you love what you do.
Yeah, I think I started back when I was a teenager, and I was just drawn to it because it was something that I had a knack for doing, and I actually didn't think that I could make a living at it. So, I went to college for business and learned all those kinds of things. And
well, that was smart.
It actually helped me to maintain over the decades, because without a business background, it's hard to, you can be great at something and then not succeed at it.
Right.
So, but I just, I loved working with families, and I found that early on there were relationships within families that were so special. And to me, that's one of the areas that's so important about life, is we do everything that we do in our world and our lives around families. That's the most important part to everyone. So to photograph a slice of a family's life and to hold it there so that they can revisit that, decades to come, is such a contribution to families. And it gives me a sense of accomplishment when I can provide something that makes someone cry, that it just, it touches them so deeply that they're looking at the pictures and tears come to their eyes. That's when I know I'm on the right track.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, most of your shoots that I noticed on your website are outside. Now I know you have studio shoots too, but most of your shoots seem to be, or I noticed, were in a park or a beach or something like that. Could you describe a typical session that you'd go through with someone about doing, let's say they want to do a shoot on the beach?
We have such a wonderful asset in this area of our outside community of parks and of the beach. And I think, so often when families go to the beach, they feel like they're on vacation. So when we do a session at the beach, I think people just naturally get relaxed, and it allows us allows a family to just be in relationship with each other, and to have fun, and to have that show through on the photographs, and we I do a lot of photography in studio as well, but I think people just choose to go to the parks and the beach because it's a gorgeous background. It's where they have fun, they feel comfortable, there's a sense of freedom, there's a sense of creativity too, because depending on the time of day or the lighting, which of course we've kind of predetermined there, we can get different effects and different events, and they can do different things depending on the lifestyle of that particular family.
Now you go into some pretty detailed pre-stuff with the family, don't you?
Pre-consults, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like color clothes.
Yeah, it really starts with the first initial phone call. Why are you calling us? What's important to you? What triggered wanting a photograph at this time? And we usually meet face-to-face with people when we can and go over what is important. What do they want to have in their hands when it's all done? And we back up from there. So, and we know where it's going to go in their house. If it's going to be on a shelf or a table or on the wall, or it's going to be a grouping of pictures. I would love to know that ahead of time because it actually gives me a context to photograph within. And so we'll go into the different relationships or groupings that we might do, what they want to show, what's important.
And this is all before you ever get
yeah.
to it. Yeah.
You know, do we want something candid where we're laughing and talking with each other, or do we want to smile and look at the camera? So we know all that ahead of time. We know who maybe they want to give it to, because sometimes that can color how we're going to take it and how it's going to be positioned. And I love that deliberateness, because when you plan those kinds of things out, what we do at that point is we let it go. And we kind of have an agenda, but we kind of let the camera roll and just see what we get. Mm-hmm. And that's where the magic happens, because sometimes, you know, when children, they'll upstage you almost anytime, anywhere. They'll start doing something you don't anticipate, and it'll be gorgeous, and it'll fit right in with what that mother said she wanted, like magic. It's so cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I noticed about, it was down further in my questions, but I noticed that the pictures that I was seeing, and I encourage people to check out your website to see some examples, but the pictures that I was seeing, the people look so casual and so relaxed. They look like they're having fun. Now, not that you don't do portraits, but they look like they're actually enjoying themselves. It's not your standard, everybody's standing there looking at the camera kind of thing.
If they're not enjoying, you know, when you're actually enjoying yourself, it shows on every part of your body, from your muscles, your shoulders, the way you carry your face. So if I don't set a space where people can enjoy and relax themselves, it won't happen on camera. Mm-hmm. And so thinking back, you know, again, talking to what that person wants and what they are after for their house, you know, we really go after that, even in that whole atmosphere that we set up and then work from.
Well, I can see where all that, the pre-work that you do really pays off in the end result, because it gives you so much of a, you're not working in a blind area.
Right.
You know everything, like from how it's going to be used and all that kind of stuff, so that certainly helps you create. So you're not dealing...
it gives me a sense of the personality of the family, because... and
a direction for the photo.
Right, because all the families have a collective personality that's a little shift from one to the next. And so my focus is to really understand who they are and what's important to them and what's in their heart that they want to remember at this time in their lives, and then get that.
Well, that's one of the things about our field, is that a lot of times, you know, like when we're shooting stuff, we don't do a lot of consumer events anymore, but when we used to years ago, like weddings, you know, I would tell people that after it's over, the only thing you're going to have is the photos and the video afterwards. The dresses in the closet, the cake's been eaten, and you know, and that's what you have, and that you should have it professionally done, because I know nowadays, you know, everybody's got an iPhone and all that. Okay, and I know the quality of the megapixels and all is higher and everything else. However, there is a huge difference between Uncle Charlie and a professional. Yeah. And and
I have been classically trained. I mean, I know the right lighting and the ratios, and I'm a certified professional photographer, so I've gone through a rigorous background of technical knowledge on top of being able to demonstrate what I know technically in a real photograph. Right. So that really sets me apart from just the person that's picked up a camera in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years and is just shooting, you know, fun, candid snapshots, which, you know, there's a place out there, but sometimes you want something that's above and beyond for that special occasion, or something that, you know, is a key photograph that you want to have in your home, and you want it to be gorgeous. Right. Yeah, just gorgeous.
Right. And now you do business photos too, not equipment and things. I wouldn't call you to do a tractor, but you do,
no, please don't.
You do people though.
Yeah.
So like business portraits.
I do. You know, so often a person, you know, you've heard that expression, "Don't judge a book by its cover," and so often now with people taking their own pictures for business-related, you know, websites or LinkedIn, you know, Facebook, they don't really look great. And if you want to project that really professional image, it's important to have a nice photograph that, again, incorporates the type of feel that you want to project, whether it's a casual, if it's a business, if it's a lawyer, if it's someone more like a contractor. We do different backgrounds depending on what's appropriate for that person. So it really comes off quickly, easily, and very professionally, and again, that relaxed, approachable look. That we want that expression.
So I would assume those are shot in the studio.
There's studio and location.
And location, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so now you have 2 locations. Speaking of location, you have 2 locations
Right.
in Virginia Beach.
Yep.
You want to tell us about that?
Sure, I have a home studio in Little Neck, and I have an actual studio there. So that's an indoor multi-lighting studio with different backgrounds and sets. And then I also have a studio in Sandbridge that is there primarily as a studio gallery, so you can go in and see, lots of work all over and composites of, and groupings of different families. And then I serve a clientele down in that end of the Virginia Beach, as well as the people that come into Sandbridge for vacationing.
Okay, and now let's talk about something that I find really interesting is that when you deliver the photos or when you take a photo and everything, you do some, I call it touch-up, but I think you referred to it as artwork.
I do.
And can you tell us about that, because that's getting close to my field of things.
There you go. Yeah. Well, there's so much that a lot of days now people are buying images photographed, and then they buy them on CD, okay? And that's one product and services that photographers have. We actually don't do that, because what we do is, we start with that consultation, go with the photography, and post-production is nearly as important as all the first half of it.
You got that right.
Yeah, so when we go in afterwards, and we look at what is there that's distracting from seeing what it is that we want you to see. So it might be a relationship, but it might be that there's some kind of line or some contrasting area, like a trap, something that the light comes through and it just doesn't look good. We'll, take that out. We change out faces. So if somebody doesn't look good in a picture, we'll grab a better smile from a similar picture and put that in.
So if you shot me, you could put Brad Pitt's picture in.
Actually,
I'm teasing.
No, really. I did that to my brother's picture once. I actually took Brad Pitt's face and put it on my brother's picture for his wife. Yeah, she liked that. But if upper arms photograph heavy on a woman or waistline, we can tuck in the waistline. So they love that. So we go in and make sure that the colors are rich, full of saturation.
So you're telling me you're using the slimming lens?
Yeah. Well, we show them sometimes before and afters, and they're like, "Oh, I want that." It's
they don't
really
ask
funny.
any questions. They just want that.
they want that. Yeah, and I would too. And the other thing, and I'm sure you realize it as well, is when you're on camera, video or stills, it adds weight to you. And so I just tell them we're bringing them back to what we all see you at, or even better.
Let me tell you a funny story quickly. One time I was back here in the editing room, and we have a huge monitor back here in editing, and I happened to walk, we were reviewing footage of a shoot, and I happened to walk in, this is years ago, and I walked in front of the camera, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm huge." and the editor, trying to keep his job, said, "Oh, well, the camera adds 10 pounds. Yeah. The secretary standing beside me said, "How many cameras you got on you?"
Oh,
she was quick. Very secure. She was very secure in her job.
That's quick.
But yeah, that was a funny one. But you're right, it does add weight.
It does add weight. Yeah. And also, whoever's in the front of the picture might look bigger than who's in the back. So guess where I place moms? I put them in the back a little bit because then they look slimmer. So we have a lot of ways of making sure that moms look great in pictures.
Now you can also, we mentioned Brad Pitt things, but you can also you can also composite pictures. So
we do.
Explain a little bit more about that, or what that is.
I mean, there can be two different ways that we refer to that. One, sometimes we'll do huge family groups, like for 50th wedding anniversaries, where we might have anywhere from 12 to 40 people in a picture. And when you have that many little children in there and grandchildren and everything, they get wild. So we might even take a mom and a child from one and put it in another. That's kind of cool. The other thing that we can do is do a composite where you can do a larger format piece of a canvas and put many photographs in there and then label it. And we have a graphic designer on staff, so we've got somebody there with a high degree of quality and art and composition and balance and color and creativeness that really will put all those together in a way that just people love.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's been really great.
Yeah, that can certainly help create the perfect photo.
And a product that really serves that particular person. We do have a lot of products, you know, whether it's photography albums or books and storyboards and just plain prints and canvas and wraps. I mean, there's so many products out there. It's really fun now to be able to find something that really serves, you know, each family or each person.
All right, and who, speaking of that, who would you say is your typical client?
You know, probably someone who loves their family deeply and wants some of the best photography they've ever had in their life. I mean, that's why people look at my website and they stop there and they call. I'm amazed at the number of people that call from the website now.
Right, and I know
just like the work.
And I think people should know that your work is not unreasonably priced.
No.
Either. So.
No. I'm like in the middle. I'm
Yeah.
not super high end. I'm not a discounter, of course, but we do have to charge a little bit. But people can purchase as little or as much as they like. So
Right.
we give people a lot of freedom.
Yeah, and you have a set fee for the on.
Sure, a regular session fee,
A
and
session fee,
and then just prints depending on what size or what finish that
which
they
one
want.
they want, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that I haven't touched on?
You know, I think that is pretty much gives people a good idea of what I do, and
Yeah.
it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much
Okay.
for providing this opportunity for me and for so many business leaders in the area. That is it's so cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoy speaking with someone who's been successful in business,
Yeah.
and I know how hard it can be.
Yeah, it can be.
And this can certainly help. But I always like to ask people, you know, what did you find that was the hardest thing about being in business? I mean, you're a woman in business. That's probably hard enough.
Hardest thing.
But you're in a very competitive field, and it's even getting more so now with everybody and his brother with a camera thinks they're a
Yeah.
photographer. So.
Just staying up with the industry changes can be a challenge, but it's also fun because we learn every single day. I mean, and the people that work for me say the same thing. I mean, they come to work, it's like, what are we going to learn today? And I've already learned something today. Okay, before I even got to the office, I was in, and you know, she was, the gal that works for me was showing me something, and I was like, oh my gosh, all right, thank you.
Right. Well, it's same in our business.
Yeah.
It's the technology keeps
Yeah.
moving, and if you love what you're doing, which you
Right.
obviously do, it's fun, and you're constantly learning. Now, I'm not looking for a new format, but I do enjoy
Yeah.
the constant learning of more and more things,
Yeah.
and all. And what did you find that was is the most challenging that you weren't expecting when you got in business? I mean, you went to business school.
Wow. I don't.
Because a lot of people looking at this, I think they're
Challenging that
considering
wasn't
going in
expecting.
business. They aren't in business, but they thought about it. A lot of people thought about it.
I
And-
think one of the things that challenges me is what I need to do to stay out there. I mean, even doing an interview like this, it can be challenging. Some people don't like this. It's not necessarily a comfortable thing, but it's like I want people to know what I do, and I want to reach people, and I want to serve people, and so it calls me to expand to my boundaries of comfort and to go out and beyond and do my best every single time. I want to do 100% every single time.
Well, you certainly have some amazing work on the site. So,
Thanks.
if you are interested in having some quality photography, check out the site, and I think you'll agree that it's certainly a little different than some of the typical things that you see, and it certainly takes a different approach and I think you would find that very interesting. Ritchie Gregory's contact information is at the end of this video and on this page, and we certainly know that you're passionate about what you do, you're good at it.
Thanks.
And I appreciate you coming in and talking with us today.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.